I'm Ian Curry, this is Chasing Cars, and beside me is the new for 2023 facelifted Mazda 2, the smallest offering in Mazda's ever increasing range. Now I know Australians have been abandoning the light car segment in their droves as they ever increasingly choose small SUVs, but I find that a real shame. I've got a massive soft spot for small cars like this. They're light, they're playful, fun, and incredibly economical to run. Now, as I say, this is just a facelifted version, and that's despite this model generation being with us since 2014. So it's 9 years old now, and still no mention of a replacement generation. So who knows what the future holds for the little Mazda 2. But let's have a look around it. Let's see the changes that have been made outside and in. We're going to take it for a drive, have some fun in it. Okay, let's go and check it out. With the new generation, as you'd expect, we have price rises as well. So we have an entry-level pure model that's going to be $22,400 before on roads, and that comes with a 6-speed manual gearbox. Yes, Mazda is keeping a manual gearbox for the 2, which is a great news story for us. And then the automatic version of that car is another $2,000. You can get a little bit more kit in a pure SP, that's a few $100s more. Again, that's an auto-only model. And then the car beside me is the mid-range Evolve. Mazda expects this one to be the volume seller with about 40% of all sales. This one, again, automatic only, and $26,000. The range topper is called GT, that's about $27,500, and again adds just a little bit more kit. So just small incremental changes between the range. Across the range, it is the same motor. It's a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder with 81 kilowatts and 142 newton meters. Those figures are very, very slightly down on what's gone before, but that's because Mazda wanted to increase the economy. With the automatic gearbox, it's now 5 litres per 100 kilometers, which is pretty good for a naturally aspirated car. The entry-level pure model has a very cool single panel across the grille, and it's actually a shame it doesn't go across every variant of the new Mazda 2, because it does look almost like an electric car and it's quite funky, and also you can get that in black or color-coded depending which color you go for. This being the Evolve grade, it's got a what Mazda call a sportier black grille. Still looks pretty good. That's changed. The bumper's new for 2023, as are LED daytime running lights as standard. There's not a great deal to report if we look at the back end of the refreshed Mazda 2. Entry levels get a 15-inch wheel, tiny little things. The Evolve grade here gets slightly larger, 16-inch. Now perhaps the biggest news is this is the hatchback, but Mazda 2, like the manual gearbox, is retaining a sedan in this car as well. So it's the only light car in the segment you can now get as a sedan. Mazda expects it'll only make up about 10% of sales, but it's an option there if you prefer a more traditional back end. The sedan itself will only be available in pure and top spec GT grades, and to make things easy for us, it's going to be exactly the same price as the hatchback with exactly the same specification. This hatchback itself gets a slightly revised bumper and, as you can see, a little chrome tailpipe for a bit of flash. Let's have a quick look in the boot, but first let me just show you. This has a lovely feel of quality. It might be a light car, but it has a nice little clunk, that boot, which is appreciated, and it's lovely and light to lift up. Can't be said for something like an SUV if you pick that. So inside, it's just a 250 litre boot, which is standard fare for such a light city car. But if you went for the sedan, you'd get 440 litres, but you miss out on the easier cargo loading here. If you need more space, just fold those rear seats, they split fold. And underneath the floor here, I do have a space saver spare. All right, let's have a look in the cabin. There's not a great deal of changes happened inside the Mazda 2, just a few things here and there, but it's very important depending on what grade you get. The entry-level Pures do feel quite basic, really. The only thing I really love about the entry-level Pure that we miss out on in the Evolve is a color-coded panel across the dash here. We've got quite a black scratchy thing here, and also, as you'd expect, I suppose, from a light car, still scratchy plastics up here and in our center console. But otherwise, the seats are incredibly comfortable. They're still cloth with red stitching in this Evolve grade, and there's also little red surrounds for our ventilation. The steering wheel itself it feels good, but it's pretty big, pretty chunky. And also, again, pure models, the entry level, they have a very basic climate control system. In this one, we've got slightly smarter rotary dials here. I'm a big fan of those. Also a carryover from the old model is the 7-inch screen, so it's not a very big one. It still has wired CarPlay and Android Auto, so nothing wireless there. Also no wireless phone charging, but you do have 2 USB-A ports here. This model also brings a slightly fancier dashboard. You've got satellite navigation and a head-up display. As it's only a little bit more to get into the range-topping GT, the cabin really does lift when you get into that one. It's got faux leather seats with a nice suede finish for the door cards and for the dashboard. So if you really want to up the luxury a little bit, I'd suggest having a good look at the GT over this Evolve. I know we shouldn't expect too much when we get into the back of these light cars, but it does feel a bit cramped and a bit basic in the back of the Mazda 2. It's very flimsy plastic in the doors. There's nothing like air vents, there's no USB, there's nowhere to put a bottle in the side. You've got to use a little pocket in the back of the seat. And as you can see, my head's just about on the ceiling as a 6-footer. My knee room's very compromised. But hey, look, if this is your first car, or if it's a Nana's Bowls Club car, I think your rear seat passengers won't complain too much. They'll just be happy to get a ride. In the middle seat, it's also even more compromised, so you really don't want 3 adults in the back of this thing. But again, if you're carrying that many people, you probably won't be looking at a light car like the Mazda 2. So even though most of you are buying SUVs, there are still some options in the light car segment to rival this Mazda 2. There's the Toyota Yaris, which is reasonably new, the Kia Rio, Suzuki Swift, and of course the MG3, which just keeps on selling strongly, which is no way near as good a driver's car as this Mazda 2. Now, some of those light cars, they've moved to 3-cylinder turbocharged engines. That seems to be the trend these days, which makes the Mazda 2 feel quite old school in its power delivery, which is no bad thing really. It's still got the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and a very smooth 6-speed auto gearbox. As mentioned before, you can only get the 6-speed manual gearbox on the entry-level Pure model, and I think that's a big shame actually. It would have been lovely to offer it range-wide, because I've had a try of it on the open road and it's an incredibly slick unit. It does remind me of the manual when it was in the Mazda 3, which is sadly departed, in the way that it's just a very easy to use, slick, short throw, and it can bring real fun when you're out on the open road and around town. Credit to Mazda for retaining it in this vehicle, but for how much longer? There's not many options left. So with that 81 kilowatts and 142 Newton meters, it's certainly no powerhouse. It's not going to rival a hot hatch, that's for sure. And if I just put the throttle in, the response is good and it's eager to pull. It does get quite noisy when you get up to speed, but it really does like to rev. It's a fun little thing to punt around, and if you can really hold the revs, if I sling it into sport mode, and once you get up, it'll rev all the way to 6,000, and it really is a nice sounding, nice pulling motor. Obviously, it lacks some torque without the turbocharger, but at the same time, if you like your thrills old school, keeping it revvy, again, it would be nice for the manual to do that, then it's a really good choice. Now, a sticking point with this car is its safety rating. Back in 2015, the Mazda 2 got a 5-star ANCAP rating, but things have moved on, and that score that they achieved, that's now been wiped from the books because it was done too long ago. That's the way ANCAP are doing it at the moment. I've spoke to Mazda about it. They're not going to re-crash this vehicle, and it certainly wouldn't achieve 5 stars. There's no central airbag, there's no advanced autonomous emergency braking, which are requirements now to get that 5-star. So if you want a light car with 5 stars, you're going to have to get something like a Toyota Yaris. It's a shame for this car, but it would need fully re-engineering. That's where a new generation would come in, and who knows when that's going to happen, if it will at all. And if it does, if we get another generation Mazda 2, it might just have an electric engine. We've taken in a 2-hour drive loop in the Mazda 2, and really impressively, we saw 5.4 litres per 100 kilometres, which is only just above the 5 litres quoted with the auto gearbox. So it just shows these light little cars, and we weren't going particularly gently, we were throwing it through some good corners. It really does remain very economical, and that's still despite not having the turbo engine. So credit there where it's due to Mazda for making these engines so very efficient in the real world. Just for the general ride itself, it's fine, but as expected for a light vehicle, you get the bigger hits and you'll really feel it through the chassis and through your backside. And Mazdas aren't particularly well regarded for their road noise suppression, certainly in the older models like this, and yeah, certainly you will get some tyre roar when you're at speed on the highway and on faster open roads as well. But generally, its suspension is pretty comfortable for around town. You get on a good bit of road, get it in the city, comfortable, agile, easy to maneuver, really a fun little city car. So a reason to buy a Mazda 2 or any light proper hatchback rather than an SUV, a small SUV, is just how light and agile and how much fun they can be. I've got a little slalom course here which I'll just dink it through, and you just feel just really easy steering, nice responsive chassis. It's just so much fun to pitch around a little bit, and you can just feel if I pushed it more we'd get one wheel lifting off as well. It's just that real playful front wheel drive fun that you get with a lightweight car, and if I can get in the right gear, a nice little responsive motor as well. It's just a car puts a smile on your face when you're punting around the city or on your favourite back road. So even though on the surface it may be a concern not to get the 5-star ANCAP crash rating, these Mazda 2s are actually pretty well equipped with the safety kit that you genuinely want. There is autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitor, the AEB actually is front and rear, which is fantastic, and the rear cross traffic alert, which probably is the most useful in the real world, I find. That's a cracking addition. This Evolve grade as well, that also gets speed sign recognition, so you're not hard done by when it comes to the safety. It's just the rating that you're missing out on. Warranty, as with all Mazdas, you've got 5 years and unlimited kilometers, which is par for the course these days. I do hope these city hatchbacks survive, because it would be a real tragedy if they were all lost to the overwhelming gulf of SUVs that have pervaded us the last 10 years or so. They really are a point of difference, and if you haven't driven one for a long time or haven't considered one as your first car or second car, just give it a go. They're cheap, fun, put a smile on your face, and really, really economical to run. Yeah, still like these Mazda 2s. They've still got it. They could use a new generation, but this one still puts a smile on my face. So that's our first taste of the refreshed Mazda 2. It was just a short drive and a short look around, but it's given us a good flavour of exactly how lovable these little cars are, and it's a shame so many people don't buy them. Is the refresh, is it enough? Would you have preferred a new generation Mazda 2 to really compete with some of the newer rivals? Is it too expensive? Is it a problem that it doesn't have a 5-star crash rating now? I'd love to know your thoughts on the refreshed Mazda 2. Please leave your comments in the section below. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as ever, thank you for watching Chasing Cars.